Hello. Today we are going to talk about all the fails I had so far with planning the trip to Panama and Cuba. So let's start.
Add it up.
The trip that I'm starting this September was actually planned for 2 years ago. The first thing we were going to do was going to Walt Disney World for 2 weeks with friends and with my niece. But because COVID started, we had to cancel that. Luckily, we got all our money back, but then like a year after, my niece and I decided to try to do Universal Studios and Walt Disney World again. So we booked a ticket to Florida to leave in September last year. But as you know, COVID got worse. So we had to cancel that trip. And still today, I still need to try to cancel my flight ticket and see if I can recover the money because of the pandemic. That trip of 2 years ago, we booked tickets to a theme park for theme parks, but unfortunately, the company where we booked the tickets, at first they didn't want to give us the money back for the tickets after we complained to the public on the internet that this was very unfair, because at the time people were massively cancelling their trips and their tickets, so that would have been very easy made money, you know, out of the pandemics where people, you know, can't do anything about. So at the end, fortunately, they repaid us, so we got our money back. At the same time, before we were going to leave, we had to stay in a hotel in Paris, very close to the airport, but they didn't want to refund us the money. So that was very unfortunate. Then about 6 months later, I booked tickets to travel to Cuba in March. Because over there, I mean Cuba, I could travel there, but within weeks, everything changed and it was impossible to visit my friend because he was living in another province and you couldn't travel between provinces. So I would have been able to travel to Havana, but I wouldn't be able to see my friend, which, you know, is the most important point of my holiday to Cuba. So I had to cancel that, and that was a trip that I booked through Caribbean Airlines, but they were like almost impossible, first of all, to get in touch with, and then it took me about 8 months before I could recover my money. It was a hell of a job with that company to, you know, to get my money back. Then eventually, for now, I booked my ticket to Panama and I can still travel to Panama. So let's hope by the 1st of September, I will be in Panama. But actually I was going to do like a round trip and, you know, come see many different places, but I prefer to at least plan a bit of the whole trip. But because of the pandemic, it's almost like impossible to make plans. So the only thing concerning Panama so far is I booked a full month in Panama City for the first month, and then hoping by October I can travel to Cuba and then do a round trip in Cuba for a month. But if that doesn't work, I have to make other plans, or, you know, go to Costa Rica or Colombia or maybe another part in Panama. But so far I still have no idea what I will be doing starting from the 1st of October. My flight ticket to Belgium leaves Panama on the 15th of December. So, you know, I'm gonna have to do things till the 15th of December. By the way, a lot of thank yous for all the views I had so far, because it's going faster than I expected. So that's all thanks to you. Meanwhile, but I don't want to explain everything into all details, I was in trouble with the homeowner from my apartment where I'm filming today. So we had like a discussion which is going to court from my point. But she tried to do something else, so she took me to court as well. And I was a little afraid that maybe I had to leave 1 month earlier than the 1st of September. So because I had to leave earlier, I thought, well, maybe I will start the whole trip a month earlier. So I was looking for a ticket, and eventually I found a ticket to travel to Singapore. I think it was leaving on the 13th of August. And I had so many ideas, because in Singapore I still want to do things that I haven't seen the first time when I was there. It's a very beautiful country, and it's a very interesting country to make interesting videos about. 2 or 3 days later, Singapore changed their rules concerning the pandemic. So I was a little afraid that maybe a few weeks later they were going to be more strict, and even to tourists, that maybe I was not able to travel to Singapore. So 2 days later I had to cancel my trip to Singapore, and luckily the flight company KLM had a very good interesting deal, that if you had to cancel because of COVID, you could ask for a voucher or you could ask for your money back. All the planning for Panama and Cuba are very difficult to do, because now that maybe within a few weeks Cuba was going to open its borders for tourism, you know the situation today in Cuba, many protesters. It's a terrible situation at the moment. So maybe that might put the whole trip to Cuba at risk. So I just hope that, you know, at least by the 15th of December, when I have to leave Panama, that I can fly to Cuba and stay there for a month and, you know, do my round trip. Because otherwise I'm gonna have to fly back to Belgium and then maybe do another holiday, and then from there, or from Belgium, go to Cuba as soon as it is possible. But at the same time, I'm probably gonna have to rent something in Belgium, and that will cost me money. So the more money I spend on other things, the more difficult it becomes to travel to Cuba in the near future. Another kind of a fail is prices for flights went up extremely. When I was making all my plans for traveling to Panama and the countries around, I made a list with all the prices flying from Miami, from Panama, from Costa Rica, from Colombia, from, you know, all the neighboring countries. And in my opinion, it was extremely cheap. But now I think prices went up like 3 times to 6 times more than, you know, the original price. So that makes the whole trip much more expensive than originally planned. But still, I think with my budget is around $1,000 per month, I'm still going to be able to do a lot with the money, but less than originally planned. Only 5 more weeks, and then finally I'm going to fly to Cuba. That means 5 more shows before you're going to see what I'm doing in Panama. For now, please subscribe and hit that bell notification so you will receive a message every time I post a new video. And for now, bye, and see you next week. Bye.